Hello and welcome to Gran Turismo Live, and we are in the final stages now of the first ever FIA Gran Turismo Championships in 2018. This is it, the final 24 Superstars races for both. One, of course, for the Nations Cup, which we're covering today, and one for the Manufacturers Cup, which we'll be covering later on. As to who we are, well, let us introduce ourselves. My name is James Kirk, and alongside me, as he has been for the last few weeks, it's Jimmy Broadbent. We're almost there, Jimmy. Exciting times ahead.
I mean, how could it not be exciting? We're now coming to the close of a 10-round season. Yeah. And of course, now this is the one that matters. This is your last chance to get points, and of course, being in the Superstar race, double points. So everything is up to grabs today. Yeah,
absolutely. Last big chance to move and shake your way up the order. But if for some reason this is your first ever broadcast that you're watching in terms of Gran Turismo esports, then we need to inform you about what on earth is going on. So, Jimmy, I'll hand it over to you.
Oh, that's very kind of you, James. You always do that to me, don't you?
Thank you, yeah.
So, welcome on in, first of all. And this is the FIA Gran Turismo Championship. There are two competitions, as you can see here, split into Nations Cup and the Manufacturer Series. The Nations Cup, the race we're about to see, is about competing to represent your country at regional and then world final level. And the Manufacturer Series sees our competitors racing on behalf of their chosen manufacturer. Coming up is the American Nations Cup race, but the same events took place earlier in the day for Asia, Oceania and the EMEA. You'll also be able to find links to those races on gran-turismo.com or the official Gran Turismo YouTube page. Each of the three regions will host their own live regional finals, which are physical events where all the players will come together over the course of October, and then we'll have the World Finals in November. In the Nations Cup, the top 30 racers from each region will be invited to their regional final. From regional finals, 10 players from each region will make it through to the World Finals, making 30 Nations Cup competitors in total from around the world. The winner of both Nations Cup and the Manufacturer Series, the first ever FIA Gran Turismo champions, will then be invited to head to the FIA Gala Awards dinner in St. Petersburg in December.
So we're recording here live on the 8th of September. That is when these races are happening. In the last week, let's catch you up on some of the details. So we had the Top 24 Superstars race on the 1st of September. In between these two Top 24 Superstars races, we then had round 9, which is just a regular race for regular points. The best 5 results are taken into account when considering your points totals. And of course, then it's those points totals which are added up against each other in terms of your nation, which then means that's basically how you go through to the nation's finals. Let us take a little look then, going into this round, what the stature of those top 24 drivers is looking like.
Well, here it is. Here are your top 8 as they stand at the moment. And it's actually finally FT Nico R leading the series, a Chilean driver, with 15,184 points. He took that lead away from a second-place driver, IOF Racing 17. Not too far behind, only 600 points in it at the moment. But how about this for a small gap? Only 30 or 29 points, if my maths is correct, it very rarely is, between him and Def Sun 96. So the top 3 drivers are very close right now. Then, in 4th place is the Canadian, Lloyd Zillite, who we've seen had some lag issues in the past, but luckily they've been fixed now and he's back to racing normally. In 5th position is the first US driver of Dodge Lamb, so just shows you how competitive this region is. In 6th is FT Solid, the Brazilian, followed by Turismo Leicester, the Canadian, in 7th position. Then we have, rounding off the top 8, CRT Didico 15 with 11,933 points. Then from 9th to 16th, leading 9th, we have Gumball CGT. He's on 11,923 points, followed by FT McQueen. He rounds out the top 10. Good showing from the Chilean drivers. In 11th position, we have a lot of US drivers now. In the mid-pack, we have Windfire 1010, another American, TRL Doodle, in 12th. Wards in 13th position, Road Beef in 14th, and then we have a Brazilian, FT Hellfire JP, he's in 15th, and Outlaw Quadrant in 16th position. Then rounding out your top 24, we have Facu Dudu, the Argentinian driver, just outside of the 10,000 point bracket in 17th position. Then we have lots of N's and lots of Z's in 18th position, the Canadian driver, followed by FT and the US driver in 19th position. TGT Cristiano rounds out the top 20. Then in 21st, we have Racing King 89, and I'm Ibrahim X7. I thought I said Z then. My eyes are getting bad, James. in 22nd. Then we have Z28, there's a Z, in 23rd, and then rounding out our top superstars is TRC Stagger in 24th position.
I think it's late in the day, I'm sure you'll forgive us. But it's also going to be a little bit later than perhaps you'd be hoping in terms of getting those definitive final drivers to you in terms of the list. Another factor we've got to consider is that it's not just the top 24 superstars race that's going on for round 10. There are other regular races that are going on in which drivers are accumulating points. And so it's after all of that is taken into account, which is when the definitive list will be decided. And you can find that definitive list on either gran-turismo.com or indeed in-game on GT Sports. The top players will be contacted by Polyphony to make sure that they're eligible and available. And so even if you're on the fringes, it's absolutely still worth taking part in these races just to make sure that you might be in fourth at the right place at the right time. Quite a few familiar names up there, Jimmy, but what are we expecting from tonight's Nations Cup race?
It's kind of tricky to say. We have to bear in mind that this is, as I said at the start of the broadcast, this is the last race. This is the last chance to get points. So it's going to be one of those races, I think, where we'll see controlled aggression. There are some drivers out there who are somewhat secure. Of course, your Nico R, your IOF Racing 17. They're looking fairly solid in their position right now. But there are some maybe on the outside. You know, we had Stagger towards the bottom end of the 24. And that would be really making sure that their place is solid. So they're probably going to go out there, have the race of their life. Whereas the guys maybe at the top thinking, oh no, maybe I've got to take it a little bit easier. So we're going to have a great mix of that going on. And I'm sure some exciting racing.
Well, we need a great track to have some exciting racing on. And honestly, I think we've got one of the best ones lined up. Jimmy, if you would, take us through it.
Oh, no, I'm very thankful you said that because this is one of my favourite circuits in the world. We are going to the Circuit de la Sarthe once more. Well known from around the world for the famous, of course, 24-hour race. And I'm sure familiar to our top 24 drivers by now. We'll be in the Group 1 cars, which are sort of the equivalent to LMP1 prototypes. And they, of course, race at Le Mans, so very relevant. And we have, as we did with the EMEA broadcast, so a very cool video showcasing the circuit. So let's play that for you now. So, the Circuit de la Sarthe, as you can see, situated in France, in the northwest region. I was very lucky to go there once, back in 2015. The layout stays the same, just over 13.6 kilometers in length. And in Gran Turismo Sport, we split that into 7 sectors. You have to make sure to master all of them if you have a chance of putting in a good lap. Memorable corners there, of course. The Porsche curve is my personal favourite. The long Mulsanne straight broken up by the 2 Mulsanne chicanes. Very important to be fast in a straight line and in traction zones to maximise lap time. Not much elevation change, only 37.3 metres from the highest to the lowest point, but regardless, one of the best circuits in the world and never fails to put on an amazing race.
Oh, I love the smell of new graphics in the morning, Jimmy.
Oh,
don't you as well?
Aren't they great? Aren't they great? They're just fantastic, aren't they?
And tell you what, we're on a bit of a roll when it comes to videos. So, again, if you are new here or if you need your mind refreshing in any case, let us take you now through the type of cars that the drivers are going to be handling today. We're back in the Group 1s.
The top category of cars in Gran Turismo is the Group 1 class. These are cars which are typically called prototypes in the real world of racing. With a body that achieves low air resistance and high downforce, the cars weigh in at around 900 kilograms and produce over 1,000 horsepower. These machines exhibit an incredible level of speed, both on the straights and in the corners. Not only that, as true endurance races, they are made easy to drive to allow long hours of driving without stress. Cars that competed in the famed Le Mans 24-hour race, including the Audi R18, the Toyota TS030, and Peugeot 908, as well as concept car-based models such as the Mazda LM55 Vision Gran Turismo and the SRT Tomahawk Vision Gran Turismo belong in this Group 1 class.
So, as per usual, 15 minutes of qualifying, and it's going to be followed by an 8-lap race, which includes a rolling start. The modifiers for today are going to be fuel consumption set at ×4 and tyre wear set at ×8. And in terms of pit stop strategy, we have seen in the past some 2 stops. We have in the past seen some 1 stops, but not often, Jimmy, do we see a 0 stop, and that's what we have the potential for today.
Well, this is where it gets a little bit interesting, because we've had 2 races already go by today. We've had our Asia-Oceania region, and of course the EMEA, and we've had a 0 stop one of the races, and a 1 stop the other one. So it's looking very interesting and to see which way people will go. As you can see on the screen of our graphic, we expect pit stops to come in around lap 3 to 5 if you are going to make a stop, and if you aren't, of course, then you aren't going to come in at all. But you do have to very keenly save tyres and fuel, so a very tricky one, that's for sure.
All right, so let us not keep you waiting any longer. You want to see Circuit de la Sarthe racing? We will give you Circuit de la Sarthe racing from this final Nations Cup race in the Americas region. It's a long lap here, so not many shots to get that perfect lap in. Let's head on over to in-game to take a look at what's going on. And so then, we're already well into qualifying. Over 5 minutes gone. But it seems like we've joined at the perfect time, Jimmy. No one has set a lap, although to be fair, from the EMEA region, this is kind of a strategy that we have seen from a lot of the drivers deploying, choosing to go out on a cycle lap, come in, fuel up, get some new boots on, come out again. I don't really understand it myself, but I think you might be able to explain a little better.
Well, you say coming at the perfect time. We come into what is probably the most horrendous looking R18 I've ever seen in my life, James. Sorry, NZ, mate, but you got to get to work in the livery editor a bit more, I think. But yes, well, how do we say this? Of course, this is a long lap round. As you said, we have ×8 fuel usage and ×8 tyre and ×4 fuel usage. Apologies. So the best strategy round here is to try and wear down a bit of that fuel. Go out, do a couple of laps, come in, don't put in any fuel. Bolt on new tyres so you have fresh rubber for the next couple of laps, and that's how you go and try and extract the fastest time. Right now, we are 7 minutes or just over, 6 minutes into the session, and we've not seen a single lap on the board. So this might actually be, you might have joined us at a good time to see the first laps being posted. Here is NZ making his way through the Porsche curves right now. Seems nice and tidy at the moment, not really pushing it to the limit, I'd say. Leaving a little bit on the table, I think, just to make sure he can go a bit quicker next time around. You can see here the challenges of the exit. That's a Corvette curves coming around. Very easy to have a little bit of an understeer moment and go wide, and that can pick up a penalty. Will he pit in? So he's pitting in. I think we'll see a new set of tyres. Well, leaving that a little bit late, just about making it into the pit lane.
Me.
Any points awarded for style there, do you reckon, James? Or
give it a solid 6, bit over flamboyant.
I think the pit crew are going to have a word to him after that.
Well, I mean, we talk about that car's livery, by the way. Look at this horrendous blue, red, green get-up we've got going on.
Look who it's for.
It is, but that's what I'm saying. Like, it's in a high visibility jacket with anime characters. Amazing. Yeah. I love this dude. I love this dude already.
I have a friend that would be scoffing in disgust at that at the moment. But anyway, we won't focus on that too much.
He's even on the rims of the wheels.
Well, he's very focused, it seems. We do have our first times trickling in right now. We have a gumball in the R18, a 323.5. So something that I want to discuss, actually, this is a good point to discuss this, is that in the EMEA races, we only saw one R18 in the race.
Yeah.
And that R18 may or may not have had some success. And now we're seeing lots of more R18s. So, of course, something I want to get into is that we do have different time zones here. So the people in, let's say, the EMA can look at the Asia races and go, oh, that worked for some people, maybe I'll try that. Then people in the Americas races and go, oh, that worked for the European guys, that worked for the Asian guys, maybe I'll try that. So maybe these guys have a slight advantage in terms of knowledge, but they still have to go out there and do it on track.
Or maybe we're looking into it too much. Who knows?
Well, that's our job, isn't it?
That I do. You've got me there. you've got me there, Jimmy. I can't give you a great response. What I can tell you is, A, that's way too wide from Gumball as he attempts to better his lap. 2, we're really looking at 321s if you want to be guaranteed a great position. Generally a low 320 on the end there.
Right now, he's just trying to find a bit of space at the moment.
Yeah.
Great. I can't stress how great it is to see that. Oh, hello,
Def
Sun.
Sun.
Def
Hello.
Sun, our current third-place driver in the Nations Cup, is currently in provisional pole with a 22.4. This is sort of the times that we saw in EMEA.
That 908, we've seen that do a no-stop before. We've had a little chat to the drivers in and amongst the races, and it's very clear that some cars simply cannot do a zero-stop. The 908 can.
Well, James, I think you're looking into it too much, mate.
You're determined to trigger me this evening, aren't you? Determined.
No,
But no, it's a serious point, though. It does indicate
very-
that maybe
good
Def
point,
Sun is
yeah.
thinking about going for a zero stop, especially with a man with his pace. That could be a great call.
It could be. Of course, with the zero stop comes the difficulty of having to save tyres. And there goes Nico R, our current Nations Cup leader, in another 908. So there is something to what you're saying here. And with just over 4 minutes to go in this session, Nico R is showing you why he's leading the Nations Cup rankings at the moment.
We were actually taking a little look at his sim racing setup as well.
Yes.
And it is it just goes to show, ladies and gents, that you do not need oodles of money putting into, like, you know, a special... Oh, as he loses it there as well, Nico R, that's a shame. But you don't need oodles of money to put into, like, a specialized seat or, you know, a specialized arrangement or a massive, you know, triple monitor setup.
No,
This guy...
only losers would do that.
Listen, you do what you're most comfortable with. What it seems Nico R is most comfortable with is literally a dinner table chair, a desk,
And that's it.
and a screen, and that is it.
It's full on his wheel, and he's away. And to give you, I'm just to give you guys some context. I have quite an expensive setup myself, but someone like Nico R, he'd make me look silly on a toaster. So just go to show the sort of pace these guys have. Here's IOF Racing. He's currently in
Another
second.
908.
Another 908. So 908s, R18s, a random group seen this and I haven't seen many of the other Peugeot. I think the L65, isn't it? Yeah, we haven't seen many of that so far, so wondering if we'll how they'll do compared to the rest of them. IOF Racing right now, his qualifying session is over. He will not get around for another lap. He's got a penalty right now, so as you've mentioned a couple of times before with these broadcasts, the qualifying ends at 0 on the dot. There's no finisher lap, none of that, especially around here. It'll be another 3.5 minutes if you just got through. That is the end of it as soon as you finish, so unless you're on a lap now, you are unlikely to improve.
So it is Nico R from Racing 17, from Def Sun, from Lloyd's Elite, from Doodle. The question is, how many of those are improving? We see on the mini-map a whole conglomerate of blue arrows making their way either towards that bottom part of the circuit or indeed out of it. I imagine that those guys are probably going to be finishing their laps as a majority, but there are still a number of them which are not. And actually, Def Sun 96 here, looking to just complete his lap. He's got 4.7 seconds, so he's not going to improve. He's going to remain in P3 for now. For other guys with smaller penalties, like sub-second or so, it's always worth finishing it because the circuit is simply that long that you might gain a lot of time on someone else ahead of you.
See, Lloyd's out there trying to actually break the toe to gearhead behind him. Bit cheeky, that is. Of course, one of the difficult things about qualifying rounds here is trying to find a bit of free circuit. So if you do find someone in front, you're going to use them for all their worth. Now, something that we didn't really touch on in the EMEA race, I have trouble getting that out, it seems.
That's a lot of letters.
Is that these Audis, these more modern Audis, do have hybrid. So they have a lot more punt out the corner. Punt, push, grunt, there you go, all the words put together.
That's all of them relevant as well.
A lot more speed, there you go, out of the corner, acceleration-wise. A lot of other cars out there, so look for that at the start of the race.
NZ up to 8th there, and Doodle repping one of those Peugeots, the L750 hybrid. is a very pretty car. It's also very good
Very
around
long
this track.
car.
Very long car, yeah. As Cristiano Sarthe moves up into 4th position, so it's a Brazilian 2-4. Doodle improves to go past Lloyd's Elite there into P5. 30 seconds remaining. We're going to get a flurry of times in here now. Here comes Lloyd's Elite, though. He's picked up a 1.2 second penalty. No improvement from him. Gearhead up to 15th there with that last minute thing. Fakududu 11th. Gumball up into 6th with that high visibility jacket, R18. McQueen goes up into 8th. And I'm just thinking, is that it?
I think that's it. Looking at the mini-map, we have no more cars come through. So it looks like Nico R, our current points leader, has taken the pole position. He'll be happy with that.
He will be very happy with that. But it's all of your regular runners and riders in that top 3. Nico R, Racing 17, Devson 96. How many times have we seen those guys up at the top in the Nations Cup? Cristiano Sarthe, I think, there, probably with the standout lap, P4. That is brilliant from him. But whether we're looking at Domo Arigato, Mr. Roboto future, or whether we're looking at the modern day, it's all coming up Peugeot. They lock out the top 5.
They do. But Gumball down in 6th with that hybrid. We've seen the punch that thing has off the corners in other races. I wonder if we'll see something similar here today, but Peugeot does seem to be the way to go. Again, I've got to make a mention of that Group C Nissan down in 18th, driven by Dodge Lamb. Not the greatest session from him, but still there, not last. And
he's 18th in a Grandad.
Good to see a full grid there as well.
Yes.
The grid just spanned by about 6 seconds or so. It's just one of the things around here. It's a long circuit, so tend to have a bit of a longer spread in time. But anyone's race, lots of strategies coming up, lots of interesting permutations, I'm sure, in terms of championship standings. So I can't wait to get into it, actually. Let's do it.
Yeah, lots to look forward to. And we will see you on the other side of this sting. It's game time at the Circuit de la Sarthe. This final round of the Nations Cup, Season 3 in 2018 in the Americas region. And this will be your grid. It is Nico R, your points leader, on pole position in the 908 HDI, joined by a fellow Peugeot, Racing 17, the Brazilian. It promises to be a brilliant first couple of corners, followed up by Defsun 96, the 3 big boys in the 3 big positions. Cristiano Sarthe, he's going to try and mix it up with them in the L750R. He's backed up, though, from the future with Doodle there in P5. The American joined on row 3 by his compatriot Gumball CGT in the first of the Audis. We then have Lloyd's Elite, the Canadian, lining up P7 in the 908. Another 908 beside him is McQueen 91, the Chilean. And our top 10 is rounded out by Solid, the Brazilian, in yet another 908. And, well, surprise, surprise, another one follows him up. His teammate, in fact, from FT, Ant. P11, we have the high visibility jacket of NZ in the Audi. Will it be Kawaii for him? Will Fakududu, the Argentine, move his way up the order? We then have Outlaw Quadrant in another of those L750s. The American joined by an older model in the context. It's Windfire 1010. We find another one of these Audis way down in P15, Didaco 15. Numbers aligning nicely. Ibrahim X7, the Canadian, repping another one of those 908 Peugeots. We then have Hellspire JP all the way down in P17, joined by that Nissan R92 CP Dodge Lamb. A brave boy indeed. Gearhead, P19, decent efforts. Z28, 908 Peugeot. He rounds out the top 20. And then our final 4 is Hendricks in the L750, the American, lining up ahead of the Canadian, beating the odds in that wonderful PlayStation livery as well, looking gorgeous. 5 Zegan. Starts P23 on the last row. He's just ahead of last place. It's Racing King flashing his lights. He's in another one of those lovely PlayStation liveries. He'll be hoping to move his way up the order, Jimmy, as we get towards the start.
Rolling start here again at Le Mans. Best way to do it, if you ask me. You see the cars all lined up in the background there. Very pretty. So here we are then, through the last chicanes. Just preparing a last time now to take a breath. Prepare yourself for 8 laps of Le Mans. Nico R will lead you off. 1, and we are away. A good start from the AI, of course. Nice, easy on the rolling start. Watch Gumball in the background in that hybrid Audi, already up to 5th position. A great start from him. Looks like TG's going to go to the inside of Def Sun, taking a position early on there. Def Sun losing out. He won't be happy with that. TGT goes to the inside of IOF Racing as well. Forces IOF Racing a little bit wide. But that's going out. Def Sun to have another go. Looks like the Brazilian there got a little bit loose coming underneath the bridge. So that might be a penalty back to Def Sun. He actually ran into the back of him there. We're unsure. In the background, look how much Gumball has gained. That Audi punch very quick off the line. Def Sun going backwards there. Starting 3rd position down to 4th now and under threat from 5th position in the Audi R18. Nice and clean through Turkish Rouge. Don't run too wide there or you're going to end up with a penalty. Now let's see what the speed difference is like in the straight here. The 908 pulling away from the R18 down the first part of the Mulsanne straight, putting onto the back of Cristiano in front in the other Peugeot. Otherwise a quite clean start, James, it seems.
You know what, I'm super impressed with Sarthe's punchy start. If you're going to be up there with the big boys, show them what you mean business doing, and making his way very nicely indeed up to P3, already looking at P2 into the Dunlop chicane. We're now onto the second part of this incredibly long straighter, of course separated by the 2 chicanes, and there goes Cristiano Sarthe again. His one problem trying to overtake his compatriot Racing 17 is that Racing 17 is still in the slipstream of Nico R ahead. We can see him there now, and in fact Racing 17 is going to try and maybe look to overtake him. No, into the second chicane. They're just going to go line astern. Make sure we get a good exit here. Def Sun did get a good exit. Sarthe really did not. Gumball, CGT and Watching Brief, those Audis have been brilliant out of the corners, and now going down to Mulsanne. This is where our first major overtaking opportunity is. If you can chuck it down the inside there, you've pretty much guaranteed the position. Here we go then, into the braking zone. Careful, careful, careful. Oh! Cristiano Sarthe actually punting! Racing, which punts Nico R. A 5-second penalty for Cristiano Sarthe. You know what, Jimmy? I said he was going to be punchy. I didn't mean that punchy. And Gumball CGT in that Audi is going to say thank you very much for wiping out the 2 leaders, Cristiano. I'll take the lead off your hands. Thank you very much. Although, look up the inside there. Wow! Def Sun from out of nowhere. He's deaf to all the criticism for giving up all those positions, Jimmy. He's just taken the lead.
I don't even know what to say about that. That was a hectic couple of corners there. Cristiano really getting it wrong into the braking zone and giving Nico R a big old biff. He's now back down to, he's actually dropping even more places now. Nico R plummeting down the field. Has he had another crash? It looks like he has, down to 22nd position, 23rd position. So our pole sitter is now down to pretty much stone dead last. Meanwhile, at the front, Gumball and Def Sun are fighting out. You see, the reason Gumball was able to get into that scrap at all outside of the Mulsanne corner was that punch of that Audi, just so fast off the corner. But now he's behind Def Sun. In a good position right now, though. Def Sun does have a penalty. I think Gumball is the only one of our top 3 who does not right now. But look at the cornering speed of that Peugeot through there, starting to pull away. And now, of course, our eyes will be in 2 places. 1 at the head of the field, and 2 down to where Nico R is. He cuts back through the field from that off on the first lap.
It was like a sadistic version of dominoes, into the back of Racing 17, into the back of Nico R. Here's a great replay to show exactly what happened. We can see Cristiano Sarthe just got the braking completely wrong, into the back of Racing 17, into the back of Nico R. And the worst thing about that is that they not only went into the gravel, but they hit the wall as well. Nico R trying to rejoin there. Racing 17 rejoined okay as well, but it was further on down to Indianapolis where we saw problems occur. We're going to stick with this replay because these are 2 of the major contenders. We thought they were going to be fighting for the win in this race. They're going to be barely fighting for the top 10 if they're lucky. Behind, we could see exactly what happened to Racing 17. He got absolutely mugged by the rest of the field. Nico R in battle with Didico, and don't tell me it was another Brazilian causing... Oh my goodness me.
Another biff there, and that's a terrible place at Indianapolis, because that gravel on the outside, look at that, just piling through. Nico R coming back on the circuit in a bit of a silly way, I'd say that, but I'd be frustrated if I were him. 2 contacts from cars behind.
And then further up, yeah.
Wow, this is the stuff you don't see. So that is what happened to Nico R there. Oh, it's
Oh,
still
my
going on.
goodness me.
Wow.
Thank you
okay.
so much to our race directors for showing that off. Back to Nico R. He's made his way back up to 16th. Racing's only down there in 21st. I can hear the fans of both drivers up in arms, but...
I wouldn't be surprised either, of course.
No, like it was...
Cristiano with a 7.5 second penalty now, and if it was up to me, he'd be doing a stop and go. But of course, that is not a live penalty system. It is done via the game. But he's still going round, and there is a race still on. Deaf Sun trying to get rid of his penalty, and of course now he has a very interesting position to be in, because he wasn't really expecting to be leading this so early, I don't think.
No.
And now it's got Gumbel bearing down. Of course, bear in mind Gumbel started in 6th position up to 2nd, so kind of shows you just how mixed up the top lot are now.
So, we are entering the second stage of lap 2. Deaf Sun, he's only got a 0.3 second penalty, so I think we can pretty much ignore that, honestly. It is minimal. He leads from Gumbel, from the boy on the naughty step at the moment, Cristiano Sarthe. Then it's Doodle, Lloyd's Elite. Actually, Lloyd's Elite just losing a position there to Didaco. And actually, Didaco... I can't believe he's only got a 0.3 second penalty from that, because he was the one who punted Nico R off. So one Brazilian gets a whole heap of penalty, 5 seconds. The other one has only received a small amount and is in fact fighting away for the top 5.
Here is Nico R, back up to 14th. So
he's moving his way through.
Making a good, the best of it. I'm sure he'll be seething inside that helmet of his, the Virtue helmet, of course. It's interesting. Of course, what we didn't see is that Didaco might have served some of the penalty.
Yes,
we haven't seen that, but given that he's in 5th position, it's unlikely. Lloyd's Elite in 6th. He's had a good run of things recently up there in the 908. Now, let's talk strategy for a second, James, because a lot of these guys are in 908s. And again, 908 for me, as you sort of suggested in qualifying, 908 means no stop.
Potentially. Allegedly. Speaking of no stopping, this is probably something that neither of these drivers are going to be considering in L750Rs.
Look how wide Cristiano isn't even trying to make that corner now, so that'll be, I think, even more of a penalty for him. Most likely, he was very wide there off the exit of the Corvette curve, or maybe that line's working out for him, who knows. But I must say, I'm fairly disappointed with Cristiano's driving so far. It's been very clumsy, not much respect for the other drivers on circuit, and I'm sure he'll be losing a little bit of safety rating after this race.
You know, as I say, I was impressed with him being punchy at the beginning. But sometimes, if you want to play with the big boys, sometimes you do have to show your muscle. Sometimes you do have to say, hey, listen, I'm here, as he looks to serve a little bit of that penalty, gets 0.5 off of there. But sometimes you have to learn to also play your punches. You know, understand when the best time to go for it is. And it could have just been, Jimmy, an innocent misreading of the brakes. Like, we don't know what's going on. It could have been I don't care what's going to happen, I'm going to throw it into this corner. Although, to be fair, I don't think that is the case. The Americas races in general have been a little bit wilder than what we've seen in the EMEA region, a little bit wilder than what we've seen in the Asia Oceania. It kind of, I don't know, it's a very passionate region, and tempers do flare, and I can totally relate to Nico R. Not the best position to be in for racing 17 as well. This is now two weeks in a row in Superstar races in which he's been involved in an incident which wasn't his fault. Just got to bounce back from it, though. That is the nature of racing, Jimmy. And, you know, as I say, you've got to make the best of what you've got, and that's what Nico R's doing. He's still got half a race to try and recover himself. I think the top 10 is not unreasonable.
Well, that's the thing. You know, you can either lie down and say, right, okay, fair enough, race over, or you can fight back and really push for it. Nico R is on the back of the train up to 10th position right now.
Look at this plucky little boy.
Yeah, the old granddad in there. It was an R992. I nearly got it right. So he'll be heading that field. Doesn't seem to have that much pace, that Group C car, unsurprisingly. Here comes the NZ. Terrible liveried Audi R. I can't look at that thing and not want to wince a little bit. But even so, look at the punch it has, and of course the 908 sort of takes over again in top speed. Now the place to watch this R18 is coming out of the Mulsanne corner, the corner coming up. Watch the punch compared to the Argentinian in front. So we'll go down to Mulsanne as usual, nice and tidy, nice and neat. And now the hybrid deploys. Let's see if we can get on board with this.
Oh my goodness me.
Goodbye, sir, and past we go. And only a Group C car can just about keep ahead of him at the moment. The Group C cars, of course, famed for their straight line speed. Back in the day, of course, no chicanes in the Mulsanne. Those things are hitting 250 mile per hour plus.
Will he have a little look into the Indianapolis section? I would wager not. Back up to the battle for the podium, though. There goes Cristiano Sarthe picking up yet more time penalty, and ultimately, finally losing that P3. Doodle, he can look forward now. He's lost 2.5 seconds to Gumball ahead, but Cristiano Sarthe, he's not done with today. He wants to try and redeem himself potentially going into the Porsche curves. It's Doodle who remains ahead, and now this is a big problem, Jimmy, is when you are following a car through those curves, you are going to be picking up so much dirty air. You have to lay off the throttle at some point. It's why we barely see any overtakes, although when you go that far off the circuit as well, Jimmy, you can't really overtake people because you're just gaining so much time. Doodle, I'm surprised he's not picked up a time penalty from that, honestly.
Of course, I say it in all these streams that the penalties are the same for everyone. So one person can do it, everyone can do it. Of course,
Yes.
it's not in the sporting nature of it or in the spirit, but racing is racing. You take every advantage you can get, and today is no exception. But yes, dirty air is a big thing, of course. Bear in mind these cars are very high downforce, so the more downforce you have, the more dirty air there is. In the background is a bit of a squabble there for 9th and 10th position. Here it is, Dodge Lamb losing out to Enzel, I think, out of the chicane. Of course, Enzel was actually behind Dodge last time he checked in, so I think, again, the punch of the hybrid helping out.
Gearhead with an early stop.
That is early. That's very early for a one-stop. He's actually got plenty of fuel, so maybe feeling that he's going to try something different. He wasn't really in contention, so doesn't really harm, I think, trying something a little bit different. Gumball staying with DefSun 96. Of course, he does have the tow, and he also has the luxury of being able to control his fuel somewhat. The thing is, the 908 in a straight line is faster than the R18, as you're seeing right now, as it pulls away, even with giving a slipstream to Gumball. But the lack of acceleration sort of keeps these cars together, and it's why I love the BOP in Gran Turismo Sport. Some people say, well, no, it's not realistic, but isn't it cool to see a Peugeot 908 and an R18 on track together and fighting competitively with each other?
It's the whole debate of whether you'd have unequal cars or equal cars on a circuit, and quite frankly, I'd rather go equal cars every day of the week because it means that we get the drivers being more accurately put up against each other. Of course, the different cars are going to have their different attributes. It's one of the wonders of racing and saying, well, I could go for this car, which is great on the brakes, or I could go for this car, which is great with top-line speed. Certainly someone looking for that top-line speed is Nico R, who has made his way up to 12th, and I did say, Jimmy, the top 10 wouldn't be too far out of reach. Is within his eye line. Targets are locked, and he's ready to fire.
He'll be very frustrated now, Nico. This is the thing, you find yourself overtaking and like, oh, this is only for 10th, this is for 11th, I should be winning this thing, you know. Luckily, he's making short work of these guys. That's what he needs to be doing right now, is just carving through. And I'm sure the other guys will see him coming. Imagine, for example, seeing the day-glow yellow helmet of Ayrton Senna in your rear-view mirror. You think, I'm going to get out of the way of him because he's going to come flying past me and there's not much point fighting him. Same sort of thing maybe. You see Nico R, this is the guy leading the series points. He's extremely fast. Do I want to waste time fighting him, or do I want to have it done with quickly, let him get on with his race so I can get on with my race?
Vakududu decimated. He has been left for dust. Next up on the hit list will be Dodge Lamb in that old-style Nissan. Of course, using that straight line speed to remain ahead of Nico R for now, but it does seem like a matter of when rather than if. In fact, is he going to have a look into Arnage? No, it's very difficult to. Oh, to be fair,
doesn't have to. Off goes the granddad.
Going to see the wildlife. Goodness me.
Yeah, he's off to go see the town of Le Mans. He's bored of this. But bad luck there for Dodge Lamb. Very easy corner to do that, Arnage. Bear in mind, you've been doing most of that at this point at 150 mile per hour, 200 mile per hour plus. You get to Arnage, which is about a 60, 50 mile per hour corner. You go, oh yeah, speed, and then you get to the corner and realise that you can't quite stop in time, and you realise going off, you find yourself going off into the barrier. Unfortunately, what happened to Dodge that? So here we are, DefSun.
No zero stop.
So no zero stop from him. Of course, these guys looking to go for. I think the one stop is the safer bet. I think.
Oh, by miles, it's a safer bet. Yeah,
because you haven't got to fuel save as much. You can be a bit more excessive with the fuel, of course. Save a bit of time there, but we might see a couple of people try otherwise. The zero stop is a stop for those sort of people who think maybe I haven't got a chance of winning on pace, but maybe I can win on strategy, and still a valid win if you do so that way.
DefSun 96. I don't like it when they cross the pit exit line like that, but that is allowed. And DefSun He takes advantage. Not full advantage, mind. He comes out behind Solid, but he is into P9. So pretty much guaranteed a top 10 at this point. He was joined in the pits by Sarthe, by NZ, by Hendricks, and by Lamb. Lap 5 was when we did see the majority of the field pit in when it came to the EMEA races, though.
We did see, of course, as well, the Audi with a weird strategy in the EMEA race.
Yeah.
So we might be seeing the same sort of thing here. Gumbel still out on circuit. He's now leading by about 15 seconds or so. So he's got a good lead. I wonder how much fuel he managed to save while being behind the leader. So we'll have to wait and see for that. Defson, of course, now down in 8th position. He's the highest person to have done a stop, so in a very good position there. We're now watching Outlaw Quadrant, 2nd, 3rd and 4th position. This is where the Nico R there, in 5th position now, of course, got quite a chunk of a penalty to serve, but he is making good time. I wonder if Nico R is going to be one of those people who go, right, no stop.
It's a similar situation to last week, though. If you're on a 2-stop, in regards to last week when we were at St. Croix, you can't just say, no, I'm just going to change and go onto a 1-stop now, because the more, ironically enough, doing less stops is the more aggressive strategy. Yes, there are less variables in that you don't have to come in for a pit stop and come out the pit stop, you understand all that sort of timing situation, but you have to have so much preparation work going into it. You need to be saving the fuel, you need to be saving the tyres. You can't just flip the script on people, and I think Nico R will be aware of that. He might very well, by chance, have said, okay, I'm able to go for a 0-stop, I'm going to go for a 0-stop, but that is all dependent on the work that he did beforehand. Defson making his way past and making sure that he's up into P6. He's going to have Nico R in sight sooner rather than later, although I'm sure he'll be hoping that by the time he reaches Nico R, they would have reached the pits, in which case, if they're going for a 1-stop, now's the lap to do it, Jimmy. Well, otherwise, he knows he's got to overtake him.
The thing is, Nico R's instant came so early on that that could have been the catalyst for him changing his mind. He came on the first lap, down at the Mulsanne corner. It's not even a lap in at that point. But look at him struggling on tyres already, following FT McQueen through there. A lot of understeer.
Defson.
Defson's made a mistake.
Defson down to P9.
Where would that be? To P10?
P10, 11.
Maybe have we lost him, or was there some sort of incident there? Defson, of course, is looking very strong for the victory of this race. If we can get a car on him, I'm sure we will. But it's looking like he's plummeting down the order. That says to me, 15th. What happened there?
By the way, you'll notice on the time screen,
he just got it all sorts of wrong going into the Porsche curves. Defson, mate, that's a basic mistake. You've just thrown away the race win doing that. And then in his haste to get back on circuit, he loops it again once more. And, oh, wow. And in sympathy, Hellfire goes off in the background there. But Defson will be absolutely kicking himself right now. He's handed the race win pretty much at the moment as it stands to Gumbel. And more importantly, Nico R has yet to pit. He's still going round. So, James, I think he's going for the no-stop. I'm going to say that now.
Problem is he's got 3 people ahead of him going for the no-stop. Jimmy, when I said at the beginning that I was expecting an exciting race involving the top 3, I didn't quite think it was going to turn out in this manner.
I don't think anyone did, to be fair.
No. Well,
where's IOF racing now? He's down in 3rd team. So
no, Nico R for 3rd.
The thing is, you're saying there are people in front of him. Nico R has the speed. He is the leader of this. He is the faster of the people in front of him. He qualified first, of course, as well. 7-second penalty, though.
That's his one handicap, isn't it? That's the one thing which is going to bite him, if anything.
I think he's going to try and find a creative way to serve that as we get in the race. But look at the difference in exit speed there between Nico R and McQueen, both teammates, both members of the FT team. Look at him go, but now, of course, McQueen has the slipstream, so he's going to help out a little bit in the straight. Great to see the speed differences here, get an idea of just how fast everyone is going in comparison to each other. Although Nico R, I think, has it turned up. He's pulling away now from McQueen as we go heavy braking into the 2nd Mulsanne chicane. Exit here, super important for lap time. Very easy to run a bit close to the curve there, pick up a penalty if you aren't careful. Gap you want to watch now, though, James, is that Nico R to Outlaw in front of him.
Watch out for Gumbel as well, though. Look at this. Gumbel just made his way past McQueen as easily
That
as
was
Nico
quiet.
are.
That was quiet. Where did he come from? That was sneaky.
It was very quiet. Oh, he's still struggling to get past McQueen. Oh my goodness, around the outside of Malsana. Are you
Nope.
actually going to do this, Gumball?
You know
no,
what
he's
he will
not,
do,
but...
though? Yeah. Goodbye.
Turbo mode, out we go. And that Audi absolutely leaving McQueen for dead. He is going to be a serious contender for this window now, Gumball, because not only is he on the better tyres, but he's also on the better fuel in terms of just being able to go flat out until the end.
Well, it's damage limitation for Nico R.
It's already there.
Yeah, just to give you guys a bit of an insight as to why that Audi is so fast off the corner. It's a hybrid. On the normal motor, it produces about 500 brake horsepower to the rear wheels. Then with the hybrid, add another 400 horsepower in there or so. So, well, it's actually nearer. Nico R. As I was just talking about the hybrid there. Nico R. got it wrong at Arnage. Another one getting it a bit sideways there. I mean, actually, I wouldn't say it's a good thing he went off, it never is, but of course he's let Gumball through now, so he hasn't got to deal with that fight. And I don't think really, realistically, he's going to be fighting him anyway towards the end, especially if he's going for the no-stop. But to finish my thought there, for a couple of seconds out of corners, the Audi has about 1,000 horsepower to all four wheels, so the car just goes flying out the corner, and then of course the hybrid sort of peels off and it slows down a bit.
Further back, another one of our one-stoppers, Doodle. Oh my goodness. Little bit scary there with Faku Dudu ahead in a little bit of lag. Absolutely following him, nose to tail, through the Corvette curves. That is bold, certainly, but what it does mean, as Outlaw Quadrant forced into a late pit stop. Interesting.
Yeah, look at out of fuel on the pretty much no fuel left there.
Couldn't
So
make it.
some time. Nico R, more importantly, still in the fight. He's now up to P3, and they are both gaining on Lloyd Zalit there, who is currently leading the race. Gumball in the best position right now. FD McQueen behind as well, so there are people there. Seems that you get a little bit of penalty served even when you just take the normal line through that chicane there. Seeing a lot of people losing a bit of penalty through. So this might have turned into a great recovery drive from Nico R if he can keep the car out of the wall. Right now, FD McQueen behind. Gumball in front in the R18. That's not going to be an achievable thing on pace, I don't think. Lloyd's Elite in front. Heroes Doodle and Solid now. TRL Doodle has been making a little bit of headway now, I think. Really looking to use the most of those fresh tyres. Not quite got the speed to get past FT Solid. That 908 is so fast in a straight line, even when it's turned down.
He's actually ahead. And look at that, able to pull in,
Just
shot
about
off the nose of Solid. And that is a great tactic, Jimmy, going into the chicane, because it forces Solid to be a little bit more hesitant on the brakes, knowing that there is now a car directly ahead. And what that means is that Doodle is now not just securely up into P6, but he's also fed Solid back into the hands of Faku Dudu. That is brilliant racecraft from the American.
It is indeed. I know I was saying that I don't expect this to happen, but here is Nico R, just race director knows what's going on here, the camera director, sorry. They are closing back up again. The top speed of that Peugeot is just too much for the Audi. Again, out of the corner, the Audi's going to pull away a little bit. More importantly, they are both just coming flying in to Lloyd's Elite. He can't quite keep the pace. He hasn't got slipstream. He isn't working together. Gumball and Nico are working together, but Nico really needs to start working on that penalty if he wants to finish on the podium. 6.8 seconds is a lot of time, and with McQueen behind only with a second, I think he almost touched Gumball. Say goodbye, Nico. There goes Gumball with the hybrid, and an instant second pulled out there. That would be very frustrating if you're Nico R, but of course now watch as the time comes back down as the Peugeot starts putting it back in with its top speed.
Behind, we've got to watch out for Doodle as well. He's actually he's made weight, or he's made lightweight of Faku Dudu, Solid and Ant, all within those first 2-3 sectors of the track. Doodle, he's got a lap and a half to try and make his way up to McQueen at the very least. 5th, that's in the bag for me. 4th, possible. 3rd, maybe, considering the size of Nico R's penalty. Doodle might be on for a podium shout here. You will watch this space with us, but we've got to go back up to the front because the space is dwindling and dwindling and getting smaller and smaller. Less than 5/10 the gap now between Gumball and Lloyd's Elite. We're in for a final lap showdown, Jimmy.
What's the difference through here? Gumball has the tyres to use. Lloyd's Elite does not. just absolutely pulling up to the back of that Peugeot in front. Here we are again at Le Mans, Audi versus Peugeot. These things have a way of cycling around. It's great to be here alongside you, James, commentating on what is going to be the last lap of the Superstars Nations Cup race in the Americas region. The last round, of course, so now things are very important. People looking to get as many points as possible, and watch this Audi out of the last chicane. Watch it pull onto the back of the Peugeot like it's absolutely nothing. Goes to the inside, drives past it. The Peugeot is standing still. Up into first position goes Gumball CGT, but Lloyd Zelite is far from beaten, coming into the Dunlop chicane for the last time. In the background, Nico R, someone who we thought would have no chance of being anywhere near the front, somehow still up in third position right now. He's being harried though by his teammate FT McQueen behind him. So right now, this is anyone's game. Nico really needs to work on that penalty. I said it before, I'll say it again. Right now, third is not his, it's McQueen's and maybe even Doodle's.
Well, I think it's more Doodle's, because look at the American now. He's right on the back of McQueen, and this is where we're going to see that hybrid power not just get him onto the back, but get him into the slipstream. He's already out of the slipstream, around the outside here as we head onto the back straight here. Easing his way past ever so slightly as we get up to 330 kilometers per hour, going upwards to 340. Doodle again getting out in front. McQueen, he's forced back into the slipstream. Doodle confirms that as Nico R and Lloyd Zelite. Nico R!
Oh no!
Nico R, what's happened to him again? He's P5. Where has he gone? P6?
I think he missed a chicane. I think he tried to defend. Nico R, you had it. You had it. That was going to be one of the best recovery drives of the season. Let's have a replay and see what happened.
Oh,
he just completely
goodness.
missed the chicane. Went into the barrier, lost a ton of time. He was spinning the wheels, just trying to get the car going again, but it's too late. Nico, Nico. I don't know what he was trying to do. Maybe trying to put a fast one on Lloyd Zelite, trying to get up into P2. It wasn't worth it, and now down to 11th.
What is it with these top three drivers and throwing away great points positions? Incredible. But this is all for Doodle.
Yes, here we are.
He is here. He's not just here to doodle. He is here to draw, paint a masterpiece. He's right on the back of Lloyd Zelite, and he's got that good hybrid power with the 750. Not only that, but he's got great tyres as well. Closing up onto the inside of Lloyd Zelite. He's going to try and force his way down the inside of Indianapolis. There's not even a fight there. Lloyd Zelite, he's just happy with the podium. Doodle, he's going to move his way up to P2. The question is now, can he possibly close in 1.4 seconds in a last quarter of a lap, Jimmy?
It's now a straight fight between these three. Gumball does have a penalty, but it's so minimal that it won't affect the end result. I hope not anyway. Arnage, for the last time, you're on board with TRL Doodle in that very futuristic looking Peugeot. That is the gap to the Audi in front, but look at the Audi punch out the corner. But now Doodle's starting to come back in again. He's got the extra fuel, he's using it. Look at the gap coming down to a second, under a second. The straight line speed of this Peugeot is pulling him back into contention through the Porsche curves for the last time. Let's see if he can gain through here at all. The gap coming down all the time at the moment. Looks like Gumball's really struggling with those tyres. There's not much more time to do it, Doodle. If you're going to do it soon, you've got to be there. Look how slow Gumball is for the last part of the Porsche curves, coming through the Corvette curves now. Doodle using every part of the track and a little bit more just to try and gain a little bit more time. Gumball's still got to serve a little bit of that penalty, so this might actually be something that affects the end result. Last chicanes, left, right, here is Gumball, CGT, your leader. I think he's just going to keep it. Doodle's right with him, though. Let's see if the penalty affects him. Comes across the line. Gumball takes it from TRL Doodle. Lloyd Zelite in third position with McQueen coming home in fourth. Gumball must have been sweating bullets there through the last half of that lap. What a finish.
That is fabulous. That is a fabulous end to Nations Cup League play in 2018. Outstanding. McQueen comes home fourth then, and it's FT are going to be delighted. Third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. All of their drivers there. Didico 15, P7 with Facu Dudu P8. Def's unable to recover to P9. That's actually pretty solid. Cristiano Sarthe finishing P10 after all of that. Nico R 11th with NZ 12th. Racing 17 only able to get back up to P13.
So your pole sitter ended up coming 11th. IOF Racing, who was second, further down.
13th.
But we'll get back to that. This is all about Gumball. Great victory, of course. Raised 5 positions, went from 6th to 1st. The hybrid power proving to be too strong at Le Mans. There's a reason why Audi were good at Le Mans. It seems here Gumball harnessing that to take the final Nations Cup Superstars race victory, earning nearly 10,000 points for his campaign. That's going to be very welcome indeed.
Especially in such a competitive region as America, Jimmy. Our classified results then. The Audi wins. How many times have we heard that over the years? He wins by 0.3 of a second. That is incredible. From Doodle, what a recovery drive. Well, not even a recovery drive, just what a great drive in general from him. And then Lloyd's Elite, making the zero stop work. He has been rewarded with a podium, though it must be considered, Jimmy, that a lot of luck went his way, considering the drivers around and the accidents around. We think of Nico R, we think of Racing 17, we think of Cristiano Sarthe getting it all wrong. All drivers that could very well have been in that third position themselves.
Nico R. Nico R is what I'll say here. He is the story of this race for me. He very nearly got driver of the day for me. Very nearly, and then threw it away right at the end. All the top three drivers made some mistake at some point, and it's just round here in such a competitive race, you can't make mistakes like that. Def's Son threw away a win. Frankly, threw it away by just making a very amateur mistake coming into the first Porsche curve, and as a result, he finishes P9 instead of finishing P1. But that's not to take away from Gumball. He earned that victory.
I mean, yeah.
TRI Doodoo earned that second place. Lloyd's Elite earned that third place. They kept it on the black stuff, and that's important.
That is an amazing way in general just to finish off this season. Incredible. Couldn't have hoped for anything better, I feel, even though perhaps there were a couple of incidents there. For entertainment factor,
Yeah.
out the window. You couldn't have hoped for better. Of course, we had no idea about who's actually going to end up in that top 30. Spoiler alert, we still don't. We require computers and points totting up and all that to make sure that we've got the right results. You can find those results when they go live on gran-turismo.com and actually in-game on Gran Turismo Sport. However, we're talking about regional finals and all that. We might very well have a little surprise for you as well. I mean, you might remember a small thing Jimmy called the World Tour. There was back in May.
Just a small thing.
It's a small thing. There might be another one before the regionals.
Look at that. Look at that face.
Who knows?
Do you not trust that face?
Who knows? I don't trust that face.
No
let's
one
be
trusts
fair.
that face.
I tell you what, you can trust me though, because we are very pleased to announce, going back to the regionals actually, the location of our first one for the Asia Oceania region. It is our delight to say that the 6th to 7th of October is going to be Tokyo, Japan style. I am super envious. Believe me, I am super envious of these guys going over there. It's, of course, the headquarters of Sony, Polyphony Digital, and so what better battleground to wage war on as they look to head towards the World Finals. It all promises so much, Jimmy, and unfortunately for us, we've only got one more race left of the 2018 season league play.
Weird, isn't it?
It's been so quick, honestly, but it's been such a journey as well.
Definitely, and it's been a great pleasure to commentate on these races and see the drivers develop and see everything continue as it is. And I'm very sad that we've only got one more left. But hopefully you guys have enjoyed these broadcasts. I've very much enjoyed them. So, yeah, it's been great being here, isn't it?
Same here, absolutely. If this is your penultimate video, you need to get yourself on over to the next one. But very quickly from us, and a big thank you from the tech team behind the scenes. A big thank you to my co-commentator, Jimmy Broadbent. I've been James Kirk, and from all of us here, take care. Have a good one.